Hey, it's Mark from MakeTheMostOfMassage.com. And today I have with me a special guest. His name is Dr. Ken Martz. He's a psychologist, and he's also a teacher of meditation. He's actually my teacher. I enlisted in his course, and it's online. It's a great course, and he gives consults and one-on-ones as you go through the course. So today, I don't know if you followed where I've been so far in my journey with meditation. I started a couple months ago, and I was okay. And then Dr. Martz sent me some emails like, "How you doing? Like, you meditating today?" I was like, "Nah, not really." So I got back on the wagon or horse or whatever you want to call it. So I'm back on track, and what I'm really liking about it is that the benefits that I'm getting, and the benefits are, one, I'm less anxious. Like, I have this nowadays when something happens, I seem to have this window in which I can react. Before I didn't have that. It's very short. And now I can sit there and I have a second to process what's going on, and I can decide how I want to react, and I can work through my emotions. Not always, but when I meditate, I find that happens more often. I'm also calmer, and I just feel this general sense of well-being, that enhanced sense of well-being. And those kinds of things are really motivators for me. So I brought Dr. Ken Martz back here, and because I have some questions for him in my journey through meditation. So welcome, Dr. Martz. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.
Good. So my first question is about the difference between visualization and meditation, and also hypnosis.
Sure.
So if you could just give me, because when I sort of run up in the coursework, you have visualizations going on, guided meditations, and I'm like, do I need to do all these, or can I just meditate, or how do we do this?
Yeah. So let me address hypnosis and visualization first, because they kind of fit together, sort of.
Okay.
Hypnosis is really a very specific tool. It's kind of a treatment tool specifically. So if someone is scared, and they work with them in hypnosis. I'm also certified to hypnosis. And then really change, for example, if I'm afraid of ladders, I'm afraid of heights. So it would be going into a very specific visualization that would be making a journey for that individual that will change some of the things about that imagery in their mind. Okay, so it's a very precise visualizations, the same kind of principle. There are, in my book, Manage My Emotions, there are a couple of visualizations that are, one for anxiety, one for anger, et cetera, et cetera. So they're also in the CD version of it as well, so guide you through those sorts of things. But they're really for a very specific application. On the other hand, meditation is kind of like a little broader. You don't meditate to relieve your anxiety, although if you meditate, it will reduce your anxiety. It's more holistic. And when I get myself in order, all the benefits of meditation come along with it. Be that reduced anxiety, improved concentration, more anger management, et cetera, et cetera. You get all of that, but it's not because of a precise intervention, if you will. Now, guided meditations generally are a little bit different than the visualization. It's just a little bit more kind of hand-holding support, verbal, talking you through the process, because especially at the beginning, I don't know what I'm doing in there. And
Right.
So it's kind of like a guide on the inside there to say, okay, and now these thoughts are going to show up, and this is what you do with it. Now some more thoughts are maybe come up. This is what you do with it. And so it's a kind of like training wheels almost to kind of support you through that beginning process.
Right. My imagery was guardrails. I just sort of bounced. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It helps. Your first time driving, you try and stay between the lines. But if you ever went off a little bit, you're protected. And then over time, you can quiet down a little more, and then let go of even the guided supports, because you are solid.
Yeah, so that helps me out a lot, because I was looking at all the things. It's like, okay, there's the guided visualization, then I got to do this and this, and I was sort of getting like, I wouldn't say I was getting overwhelmed, but I was like, I don't like, where's it going? Do you know what I mean? Like, do I do this or that, because I need to do that? And I'm glad to know that I don't necessarily need to do that to get more competent with meditation. But I have it as a tool.
Right.
And like, for example, we were talking about one of my challenges is when I wake up in the morning, I'm like really early, I can't get back to sleep. Sometimes it's the cats, you know what I mean? Can't always blame it on the cats, but sometimes it's, it's like you go, this is too much information, sorry, but get up to pee, and I'm going, I'm running to the bathroom, and this is how everyone does, I'm sure, you're trying to keep your eyes closed, you don't want to see, you don't want to think, you're trying to get there as quick and back into bed as quick as you can be, so you can get right back to sleep. Well, it doesn't always work. So I asked you, like, what I could do as a fix. I guess this case would be not the meditation, but like as a fix. And you told me that one exercise, I forget the name of it, but you're tightening up your muscles and then relaxing them. And then you're going through that whole process through your body.
Yeah. That one's the progressive muscle relaxation exercise.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you, when you're going through the training, I purposely kind of walk through step by step to try and make it as easy as possible, because it really is easy. But then whenever you start, all the questions start coming up. Well, it's like, how should I sit, and how should I this, and how should I that?
Right.
So they're kind of built there to kind of give you a couple of tastes of some different things.
Yes.
But kind of all you have to do at the end of the day is, there is the 5-minute or the 8-minute meditations right in there. Just hit play and it'll take you through, and that'll get you through for a good while. And then eventually, like you said, kind of like the guardrails, at a certain point, you may feel comfortable to just sit down and put on some music you like and go without kind of me walking you through internally there. But, use that as long as it works. Make it easy. If you make things too hard, you won't do it. That's usually one of the problems people have is, I start off with trying to do 30 minutes. It's like, no, just start.
Right. No, I like that approach, because that's been really effective for me, because even if it's 5 minutes, I feel like I've done something. And I really feel like, and this could be wrong, I'm just, it's just what I'm observing, which is through my own filters. If I'm consistent with meditation, I can reach, I can have a sense of calm by just thinking about, I'm going to meditate. Maybe it's a Pavlovian kind of response where I'm sort of like, okay. And I feel like that plays to my advantage sleeping too. Like if I consistently meditated, I'm not talking about I'm meditating 20, 30 minutes a day. I'm just like even 5 minutes a day, whenever I can. Or if I sit there and I have a minute at work or something, I'm just going to clear my mind, I feel like I have that center point. It's easy to go to that center point, which I've been taught is the breath, breathing. So it's pretty easy to go there. And I feel like in general, that's just a helpful thing. And you can't go wrong with that.
Exactly. And if once you practiced a little bit, kind of like you're starting to experience, it sounds like, even if I just begin to think about it, it kind of brings me back to that space, because my body's learning that relaxation response, if you will.
Right.
And so all I have to do to go back to that relaxation response is to remember it. And that may be as simple as, oh yeah, I'm going to go meditate. Okay. Right.
And I think one of the things that I really was confused about is that, and we talked about this in the last one, I'm not going to dwell on it, but like how I thought it would change meditation would change your personality, and you'd be this tranquil, sort of monk kind of thing, right? So I was like, well, that could be cool, but I sort of don't want that. You know what I mean? I sort of like the full range of emotions, even though I don't want to be bouncing between the extremes. So, but it hasn't done that at all. Of course, I'm not anywhere competent with meditation, but I feel like it's just given me that again, the chance to actually either act on an emotion or not act on an emotion, or to de-escalate, or to, so yeah, I still feel like, no, I'm pretty good. Like I'm still me. Yeah.
Yeah, you're always going to be you. This is just adding a skill in life, and it's a practice.
Right.
you'd be surprised how quickly you improve, and you look back and you realize, oh my gosh, I've already done that. Or, oh my gosh, I've already done that for 2 months now. And oh my gosh, but you'd be surprised how quickly it feels like you make a lot of progression before you even realize it. And that's one of the points I make in the training along the way too. It's like, when it's like, okay, in module 1, you're starting doing a quick meditation, and then several modules later, it's like, by the way, as we're breaking down what you're doing and how you do it, you've already been doing this. It's that easy. We're just labeling it now, so you don't have to wait till you figure out all those labels to just do it. And you can practice for a lifetime. But as you say, I notice the difference when I'm on the days when I meditate versus the days that I don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So.
Right. So it must be whether it's doing something in your brain.
Yep. Yeah.
So if, someone's just starting out, like my struggle was, I was rescued by your emails and your intervention of like, hey, you're, through our contact. If someone's just starting out, how do you keep on track if you don't have you know what I mean, per se, jumping in there and pushing you along or just giving you hints?
Right. So a couple of things that will help there. One of which is that, you do have me. So, and if you go into the training, I'm there. There's a Facebook group, so you can go and ask questions and things like that. Email me, do a consult. There's, for those that want a little extra hand holding of that nature, you can schedule appointments, and, make sure that you stay on track.
Right.
Beyond that, even within the training, there's kind of 2 things that most people really get stuck with. The first is the kind of, what the heck do I do? How do I do this? And all the questions that come up around that, which are real. It's like, how long how can I track time? How long am I supposed to be? Is it not okay if I don't do it like this? And
Right.
So, and the other is how to be consistent with it, how to make it a regular practice. And so there's some guidance in there and here on exactly some of those practices, not just from me, but also how do I begin to think through from, the first step in the module, what am I motivated for? What do I want to get out of my meditation practice? What is it that called me to watch this video or to consider looking at a training or whatever that I think it might help with? And then how would my life be different if I could relieve that anxiety, anger, fear, or whatever it may be? So using that motivation kind of helps to keep us going on the days when we otherwise get busy. And the other thing that helps is kind of building out a structure so that it's like, like I said, the first one I say, just kind of do this and I'll tell you how, but then we break down the steps about how to do it, because then once you're doing that, it really helps to say, okay, this is going to fit best for me in the morning, first thing when I wake up,
right,
in an evening just before I go to sleep, or whatever it may be, how to plan it into your life so that it becomes a consistent routine, or something triggers you or helps you to remember until it becomes a habit. And then it just gets easier once it's a habit.
Right. So the goal is to work it to become a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you get, so it's like just automatic. You get up, whatever, or mine is before bed. I find it's just the time where I can carve out some time, and it's now I sort of look forward to it. It's like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
So another thing I had a question about was like meditation, like, you're observing your breath. You're sort of like letting your thoughts go.
Mm-hmm.
That said, like when you're not meditating, you're wondering like, well, where does it go? Or is it like karate or the martial arts? Are there different levels? Are you going through a white belt, yellow belt, orange belt, brown belt, black? You know what I mean? It seems self-defeating to think in those terms with meditation. Or is it like more like a walk in the woods where you sort of go down a trail and then you start to explore different things, and one day you may find this, another day you may find that kind of thing. You've been doing it for a long time, for 20 years. What's your experience?
More like the former. It's a little bit more like a deepening. I don't want to call it stages because that's kind of, because it's not that defined, if you will.
Hmm.
But it's kind of like if I'm sitting and watching TV,
Right.
you know, I'm putting my attention on one thing and I'm keeping it there. The difference between TV and meditation is that when I'm watching TV, I'm just kind of checked out. I'm
Yeah.
going wherever that visualization tells me to go. I am not in control. I am becoming powerless. I'm becoming helpless. I'm practicing, you know, not being in control of my world. In meditation, it's kind of the reverse, though. It's like stepping back a second to realize I'm in control of the remote control. I can steer towards that happy thought or towards that sad thought or towards, in this case, the breath.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you're practicing recognizing what the thoughts are and choosing to steer rather than being steered by the thoughts, which we do all day long. So I kind of like 90% of our lives are spent on autopilot.
Right.
So this kind of helps us to move and bring a little bit more awareness. So a little bit less is on autopilot. So we can make that little bit of a shift. So it gets us into better places. You know,
Gotcha. So
if you've ever been driving and you go in the wrong direction, you know, if you're say on autopilot, you don't know that you're going in the wrong direction, you're going to get off someplace terrible.
right.
But you recognize it sooner, you course correct as you need. And so then on the inside, it starts getting quieter and quieter as that gets easier and easier.
So that doesn't mean you never watch TV, right?
No, I do watch TV. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, good. I mean, I just wanted to, I was, I didn't know where my sensei was at, so I didn't. In this world would be good. Yeah, this world's good. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So how about meditating on the fly? Like if you have to, do you do that? Do you find like if there's, like you have your scheduled time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But do you have other times where it's sort of spontaneous where you're like, yeah, I got a minute?
Sometimes, yes. Usually
Okay.
at that point, I usually tend to think of it just as, let me take a minute and breathe.
Yeah.
Without having to call it all meditation and how do I sit and how long is it going to be and does it work if I only did it if I don't. But if I'm about to, go into a meeting and I know something's going on, if I just want to take a second to get ready, just take a breath,
Right.
So reconnecting with that memory of that state can really help in a bunch of ways.
Right.
So, and the other thing that you kind of start to point to there, what we've been talking about is really formal meditation, but there's also kind of informal meditation. So that same formal meditation is I sit down and I'm practicing that thought awareness. Whereas informal meditation is kind of like a walking meditation, a washing the dishes meditation, I'm doing what I'm doing, but I'm doing it with awareness.
Right.
So I'm still bringing that same centeredness to the other things that I do so I can practice more often.
Right.
Washing the dishes meditation for me doesn't take the place of my seated meditation, but
right.
what you're doing, enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting because it makes me immediately think of escapism, and I view escapism as important too.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's right. I mean, we spend much of our lives doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. I mean, it depends on how you define it, I guess. But sometimes you may not want to see yourself washing the dishes or feel that,
Mm-hmm.
like if you cut your hand. Do you know what I mean? But I guess it's having that choice is, it's not all or nothing with
Mm-hmm.
meditation. It's not going to just completely turn you over to 100% consciousness because we are, like you said, right, a very habitual kind of creature where things are just done automatic. Yeah. Okay.
Well, and sometimes it's like, after I do the dishes, then I got to fold the laundry, and then I got something else, and you know what I mean? Then I got to get the groceries, and I got to get the, something broke down in the house. And so you can sit that and work through that with oh my gosh, I got to do this, now I got to do this, and so you can grumble about it, or you can kind of bring a little bit of ease to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I'm grumbling about it, what do you think I'm practicing? Being grumpy. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
that's right.
Or I can practice, okay, I don't love the dishes, but okay,
Right.
I'm doing something, and I'll feel an accomplishment at the end, and I can,
Right.
you know,
Right.
so you start to filter in a little bit more ease in life, even when it's not that seated formal meditation time,
Right.
as you stop resisting life.
Right. That's really interesting. Yeah, there's just times where you can see that, where I mean, all sorts of mechanisms you could use, or techniques you could use to intervene in that situation, where you're like meditation one, where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna make the best of it. I'm at one with the dishes,
Mm-hmm.
Or gratitude, right, or things like that, where you're just like, well, it could be worse. Like, I may not have dishes to wash. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
I'd have to go get the water, which is 2 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
These kinds of things. So, but it probably also helps you start thinking in those terms.
Yeah.
And I think those exercises help that too.
Sure.
Get me in that direction of like, yeah, it may not be a meditative kind of thought or a process, but it may be more of like a gratitude, or, just those kinds of things. So
Yeah. And that's really circling back to the beginning. That's another one of the differences between meditation versus hypnosis, for example. So if hypnosis or visualization is working at changing the anxiety or the anger moment, this is almost like creating a space where I practice some gratitude or practice some ease, which is just the antidote feeling for the anxiety.
that's a great way of saying it, because I can really see that. Like, you have the space to take those other kinds of techniques or interventions, or whatever you want to call them,
Right.
and use them, because you're conscious and you're aware of your situation.
Yeah.
Of my whininess.
Yeah. One of my teachers used to say, if you take a spoon of salt and put it in your glass of water, and then you take a drink, it will taste horrible. Now, if you take that same spoon of salt and you put it in a gallon of water, it won't taste so bad.
Right.
So the meditation is not really changing the nature of the salt. It's creating a space, a context for it. There's going to be salt in life. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it creates a context where it's not as overwhelming when that's all you see.
Right. No, that's a great way of saying it. Yeah. So I want to ask you another question. It's sort of selfish, because it may help the listeners too if they're starting in their meditative process. And it's about, like, what do you struggle with? Because sometimes I can learn by what people who are more advanced than me, who are my teachers, what are their struggles? What are their, not necessarily mistakes, but what are maybe the wrong paths kind of thing? What are the kinds of things that trip them up? And, how do you bring turn it around? Like, so, like, you could even go into your typical meditation day or whatever, however you want to answer it's fine. But
so one way that over time that's gotten me tripped up was like, first I started doing Tai Chi because I was not at all interested in meditation. I was looking for a martial art, and this would be one that would be a little calming along the way, etc. Well, as life would have it, that changed, and I went on to do, instead some yoga, and then I practiced my yoga, and then I found the meditation, and then I found, some of the different types of meditation, and then, the scholar in me has to go research all the different types of meditation and find out the research on every beaten piece of the mess. But, that can sometimes become a distraction, and it's like, just meditate. You know what I mean? It's like you can get so caught up in the 5 different forms and 30 different traditions and all that. Just breathe,
Yeah.
Now, for me, I do that sort of work because it helps me also to kind of feel confident in what I'm doing. And then if I'm a little off track some days, a little slightly different focus will work a little slightly bit better different than another. But it's kind of like, um, at the risk of dating myself. So when I was 7 years old, there was a time where every third commercial on TV was another toothpaste commercial.
Mm.
So the first one came on and said, dentist most recommended, fights cavities better, freshens breath better, whatever it may be. One claim after the other. Brent, brightens your teeth better than all the rest. And so silly little me went to my dentist. And the next time I was there, I asked, and I said, Dr. So-and-so, I hear all these claims on the TV, and just seriously, what should I be doing? I can't use these 5 toothbrushes, 5 different toothpastes.
Right.
And his answer to me was not what you would expect.
Baking soda?
No. His answer to me actually is very relevant to this very question. He said, choose the one that tastes the best.
Huh.
And I said, what? No. This one says the research is on this, and this one says this. No, choose the one that tastes the best. Why? Because if it tastes horrible, it doesn't matter how much research it has. If you're not gonna do it, you don't get any benefits of brushing your teeth.
Right.
So just breathe. Just do the one that feels good. Make it easy. And then all that kind of fine-tuning stuff, you can deal with that along the way, but you've got to start with doing it, and you get all the benefits of doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So just sit and breathe and feel good, and you can layer in other fine-tuning along the way. Add another 30 seconds, add another,
Right.
That's not 30 seconds added on a 5-minute meditation plus or minus is not, you got your benefit of brushing your teeth.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's some threshold in general for people, but it's almost, we're oriented. I'm using everyone as me at this point, or vice versa. But it's like, if we do this, we'll get this. If we do this that much longer, or we do that much more, we'll get this.
Right.
So I'm sure I guess there could be an added benefit from doing a more duration stuff. Yes. But there's probably a diminishing return depending on who you are, your personality, all those complex things that make up you. And really, when you start looking at that goal, what is it? It's like, again, it's not like the martial arts where I can get my brown belt if I do these katas and this fighting and this and this and break these boards or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's more like I get where I want to be because I feel the difference. I feel exactly. My relationships are better. I'm a kinder person, whatever it is you want to be,
Exactly. And so you'll get to the point once you've got your regular practice and you're regularly brushing your teeth, just like you do in life, you'll find that, I want a little bit more of this. I'm going to add another 30 seconds. I'm going to add another minute, another 5 minutes.
Right.
I wonder how life would be different if I added another 5 minutes.
Right.
I'm saying, if you do that too quickly, though, it'll turn into, oh, I don't have a half an hour to meditate. And so then you stop. So, that gets real important there. It's like, some of the masters will sit and meditate. We'll do an hour of yoga, then 30 minutes of breathing, and then a half an hour of meditation, multiple times a day. And it's like, I live in,
yeah, I don't want to do that.
this world, I don't have time to do that. That's not kind of where I'm at in my journey.
Yeah, I'm not looking to be a master. No.
I watch TV. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm just trying not to yell at our cat Rocky. That's all.
Yeah,
he's bad, man. He's bad.
So the point of, yes, there is some accordion there of differing benefits. So Herbert Benson is out of Harvard, and he did years of meditation research, and he called it the relaxation response. So you wouldn't get into the, oh my gosh, is that a religion? Is that, it's just, just go sit and breathe, and all these things start to happen. And started tracking it, that certain changes start to happen, certain chemical changes in the body at about 20 minutes. which is about the number that, is out there for this is a good meditation time, if you know what I mean. There's other benefits at 30 minutes, but by and large, as you start to notice, if I do 2 minutes, I feel a heck of a lot better.
You know what you just made me do though? Get the freaking timer out.
Yeah,
because now like 20 minutes is pay dirt for me. I'm like, okay, let's go. No, but I understand the other part too, what you just explained was that I've experienced that. It's like, at some point I'm just going to resent it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to understand. It's not going to pay off because I'll do the 20 minutes. I'll do a crappy job at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It won't be sincere. It won't be like my best effort. It won't be, I'll be thinking, when is the timer going to go? You know what I mean? Like,
watch. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's good to know that, okay, so scientifically from most of the research, it sounds like is that 20 minutes is sort of like this threshold component. Yeah. You may want to get to at some point, but don't rush it.
And when you're there, it'll be easy to get there. Let me just say it that way. Yeah. So when I do my 20-minute meditation, it feels like I just kind of sit down and the time's up. You know what I mean?
Do you
like,
if you can't get your 20 minutes in and it's only like 5, does that sort of piss you off?
No.
Okay. Well, no, because you meditated enough to be okay, cool.
It's like life happens sometimes,
Yeah.
The cat comes up and says, okay, well,
right. So yeah, it's funny because I'm just thinking like, because you're always calm, cool, and collected. That's that's great for a meditation coach, teacher. Mm-hmm. So I just want to know what's behind the scenes, like, like if I'm sending like, hey, I'm running 5 minutes late, it's like, you effing no, that's not behind the scenes.
No,
okay.
No.
You are the real. What we see is what it is. Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I definitely noticed that in all your interactions, all our interactions, you're very calm and you're like, okay, yeah, we're good.
Yeah. So it's like, not that I don't ever get scared or worried or annoyed at some things in the world, but usually it's not like, it's kind of like ripples on an ocean rather than like tidal waves that are going to knock you over and like,
right.
It's, you don't, emotional balance isn't about not being angry ever or not having passionate about what's right in the world. You know what I mean? It's that I don't have to throw plates to get my point across,
Right. Well, it could also be that, it allows you the space to do something if you want to,
mm-hmm.
which could affect change. You could take that anger and you could funnel it,
right,
rather than just yelling at the TV or
mm-hmm.
whatever. So yeah,
exactly. So you can also be more effective because you have a second to think and choose something that will be useful rather than whatever that impulsive reaction is.
Right.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, and I appreciate the coaching and the teaching that you've done with me so far, and I look forward to continuing this, and also to get to my 20 minutes now. But I'm not going to push it. There's no time frame or something like that. I just know that I get a little bit more.
Yeah.
I get to 20. Brain gets a little bit better.
And frankly, before I would worry about 20, I would maybe do 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like brushing your teeth. You can't brush your teeth for an hour and say, okay, now I'm done for the week. It's better to do small amounts over a period of time, multiple times.
Right.
And if you wanted to do even 2 minutes of meditation a couple of times, and then once a week do a little bit longer just to get a taste of it. So there's different ways. It's not about right and wrong, but you build it over time.
No, that's great, and that's super helpful to me for someone who just wants to rush out into the 20 and then just make it the worst possible thing you could do. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do it any longer because I just made it horrible. So I like that idea. Just do incremental stuff, and then every now and then, if you can throw a 20 in to see how it feels,
mm-hmm.
get the taste. Yeah. So, well, we're gonna have you back if that's okay. I'm
Sure.
gonna, after my next, I'm gonna do some practicing and get my meditation on. and have you back.
Awesome.
So I just want you to mention your website. We'll put that in the links too, your meditation website.
Okay. It's www.drkenmartz.com. And if you go there, it will also connect you over to the, there's a separate training website that will be linked there through the resources.
Okay, so do you have the website, just the .com one, just separately? Okay, got it. Cool. All right. Well, thank you, teacher.
My pleasure.
All right. So we'll catch you next time.
Very good.
All right. Mark from MakeTheMostOfMassage.com. Thanks for watching. Take care. I'm going to pause.